Anyone who's ever done a property investing course is told to go out there and find motivated sellers. But what are they? Where do you find them? How do you identify them? In this video, I want to break down exactly what they are and how to find them. If you're watching my videos for the first time, my name is Saj Hussain, and on this channel I share with you my 15 years of property investing experience to ultimately help you get further faster in your own property investing journey. When we talk about motivated sellers, essentially a motivated seller is someone that's keen to sell their property. But what does that even mean? If someone's put their house up for sale, they're motivated to sell. But what we are talking about is different degrees of motivation. So some people are much more keen to sell their house than somebody that maybe is looking for example, the highest price, who's not in any kind of rush. We'll just put it on the market. Hey, we'll see what happens. And when we talk about motivated sellers, we're really talking about the people at the end of the spectrum that are much more keen, they're much more eager to get a sale done. And really what we're doing there is looking for some kind of flexibility to be able to negotiate a deal with them. Now, what is it that might motivate somebody to have that kind of conversation with us? Well, really there's three big D's that we talk about. There's debt, there's death, and there's divorce. Debt is somebody that might be getting into financial difficulty, and really they might be open to selling the property to get out of financial mess and be able to move on with their life. Death is often a probate property, when someone's inherited a property and really that might be 100 miles away from where they live, and it was lovely Aunt Flo, bless her, she's passed away and she's left them a property, and now they want to benefit from that by selling that property on. They're not that really emotionally attached to the property. And divorce is, as it says on the tin, when people fall in love and then they fall out of love and they hate the sight of each other, and they just want to get away and get far away from each other as quick as they possibly can, and generally they're much more eager to do a deal because they just both want to get on with their own lives. When somebody is in that situation, ultimately what they're saying is that they have a problem right now, and what you need to do is come up with a solution that resolves that problem in order to create a win-win situation. A win-win situation is one that works for them, that helps them be able to move on with their life, and what it means for you is that you create a deal where you benefit as well. So it's not about taking advantage of somebody, it's about creating a win-win solution that's going to work for all parties involved. What you're looking for in the situation is either some flexibility on the price or flexibility in terms of how the deal is done. So what we mean by that, a price is quite simple in terms of you want a reduction of what the property might be worth so that there's some benefit in it for you. The flexibility around the terms might be how the deal is structured. For example, it could be a lease option, a delayed completion, an assisted sale, some kind of creative strategy, which means they don't necessarily get paid right now, but it frees them up from the property to be able to move on. Now that's what you're looking for. Effectively what you're giving them in exchange is speed and certainty. You're committing to be able to do a transaction quickly, and you're giving the certainty that you're going to get this deal done. There are two main ways to identify motivated sellers. The first one is for properties that are already been advertised in the public space. For example, by an estate agent, it might be in an auction. These properties are available, but how do you identify if somebody's motivated? Well, there's certain indicators that we look for. So for example, it may be that the property is listed by more than one agent, so there's multiple agents selling the same property. It might be that that property has had several price drops, so it's had price reduction after price reduction and showing that they're eager to sell. It may even be that the property's up for sale, but also it's up to let as well with a different agent, again showing eagerness to be able to get out of that transaction and be able to move on. It may be that they sold the property subject to contract, which means it's going through, but then it's fallen out of bed, and after several weeks or even months sometimes, it's come back to the market and come up for sale again. And so now that person may be a bit more frustrated, and sometimes that may have happened twice to somebody where they've lost two buyers and come back to the market. Again, they might be showing signs of motivation, eagerness to be able to just move on with their life rather than being stuck in this situation. And my most favorite method is where we see multiple price drops. What that means is there's been a price reduction because somebody hasn't been able to find a buyer, then there's been another price reduction because there hasn't been a buyer, and then maybe another price reduction. And so when you can track these things, and it's not easy necessarily to find this just by looking at Rightmove and Zoopla, but sometimes you can use certain tools. We use software tools in our business, and also our students in the Inner Circle program, they use software tools as well that we help and support them with to be able to identify some of these signals and these signs when something's up for sale and on the market. And of course, if you're just speaking to the agent, you can always ask the agent, have you got something that's been up for sale for a while that maybe hasn't got much interest? Have you got something where the owner keeps calling up asking about what interest have you got on the property? Have you got anybody else to view it? All these are indications that somebody might be motivated and keen to sell. The second way to find motivated sellers is to go direct to the market rather than waiting for something that's already up for sale. And the way we tend to do this, there tend to be many ways, but essentially what you're doing marketing activity, very much like how an estate agent, for example, would do when somebody's looking to sell their property. So an estate agent will go to the marketplace and say, hey, we can help sell your property. And what we're doing when we talk about going direct to vendor is we're going to somebody that hasn't already got necessarily the property up for sale, and we're saying, hey, have you thought about selling your property? And so, for example, this could be through leafleting, printed media such as magazines, leaflets, all these ones. And then you might see leaflets, for example, do you need to sell your house fast? Cash buyers waiting, that kind of marketing message where what you're saying is, look, we can do a transaction quite quickly if you're keen to sell. So what you're trying to do is target people that might be in that situation to initiate a conversation with you. Now, other ways are, for example, social media marketing. There's online adverts that you can do as well. Again, what you're trying to do is target certain people to be able to initiate a conversation with, because, hey, look, let's face it, would you sell your house for less than its true value? Most probably not. But in certain circumstances, people will. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find people that in a certain situation that are keen and eager to have a conversation, hence why we call them motivated sellers. Now, when we're looking for direct to vendor, some of the best ways is to be able to really talk to people you already know, your network, friends, family. Tell people that you're looking to buy property, and anybody that's got property that might be thinking about selling, you want to have a conversation with them. Now, it may not necessarily be everybody that's introduced to you that's thinking about selling is going to be a motivated seller, but what you're doing is starting to generate leads where you can have these conversations. Then, of course, make sure that you're a good networker if you're looking for direct to vendor. That means going to business networking events, that's going to property networking events, it's property forums as well, such as Facebook groups, where you can talk to people about you're looking to buy property, certain types of property. And what this will do, this will initiate conversations for you that will lead possibly to conversations directly with the owners and the vendors of property, where you can negotiate a deal. And when you're not competing with lots of other people looking at that property as well, for example, as you are right now with the estate agents, when property's on the market selling very quickly, you've got more time to be able to structure something that might work for them, and you can tailor a solution to ultimately create that win-win that we talked about earlier on. What I've shared with you right now is just scratching the surface when it comes to finding motivated sellers. In fact, we use 41 different ways when it comes to finding people that are looking to sell their property that might be motivated, where we can start a conversation with them in order to create a win-win situation. Now, in 2022, we're going to be doing more courses. One of the ones I'll be doing is sourcing property deals below market value and sourcing directly, packaging them on, selling them on, negotiating directly with vendors, and creating those win-win situations, especially when you're having conversation with motivated sellers. If you're keen to learn more about those, make sure you ping us a message on social media and we'll reach out to you as and when we start running those programs. When you're looking to do a deal, especially with a motivated seller, it's really important that you understand how to negotiate. The great news is I've got a video lined up over here for you where I talk about negotiation in depth and how you can use the tools to be able to get the best possible deal. But just before you go and watch that, make sure you click on my face down here to subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you on this negotiation video just up here.